Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Sharmit. In this session, we are going to discuss about another very important topic for Angular Directive, that is elseIfDirective. Prior to this session, we have talked about if-else directive. We also talked about if-directive using @ right? But in this case, we are going to talk about elseIfDirective. If you remember, when we talked about ngIfDirective, at that time I mentioned that there is no way to use else if condition using ngIf, right? But here, for those who are using Angular 17 plus version, they have the ability to use this @ directives, where they can also implement the else if situation. Okay, they can build the condition related to else if. So this is the topic that we are going to discuss in this today's session. But before we proceed further, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released sessions first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow them sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic. Because for time being, we are just mainly focusing on how to use else if directive with Angular. Okay, so let's get started, and we will be proceeding in the similar way. Firstly, I'll show you the TS file, where we will talk about the modules. We will see, like, do we really need any module here with @ case or not, and then we will declare the required variable to implement the logic. Then once everything is cleared, I'll explain you the requirement, and as per the requirement, we will build the entire program and will verify the output in the end. Okay, so let's get started. Firstly, we will go to app.component.ts file. Here in this TS file, you know that usually we import the common module for using ngIf directive, ngForDirective, ngSwitch, and ngTemplateOutlet directive as well. Okay, but in case where we are utilizing the @, so in that case there is no need to import any module, because we are using Angular 17 plus version. Currently I'm using the Angular 19 version. Maybe you are using 17 version or any other version, but it should be it should be greater than 17 plus version, because these @ related directives are not supported by older version, by the version of Angular that are older than 17. Okay, so maybe in some time in interviews also they might ask you this question, like, can we use @ if directive in older version of Angular before 17? So you have to say no, it is only supported by the Angular version 17 plus. Second thing, they might ask you that do we really need to import any module for implementing this logic? So you can simply say no, there is no need to import any other additional module to implement this thing, because it comes by default with the existing Angular. Clear? Fine. So I think now we are good with these conceptual questions. Now it's time to learn about the concept. So to demonstrate this example, what I'll do, I'll create one variable here, and the name of the variable would be is logged in. Okay, so here we will assign the value as yes for now. I'll explain you why do we need this variable. So, and maybe those who have referred the previous session, they know why we are using it. But fine, if you have not watched it, it's also fine. I'll tell you everything from scratch only. So here you can see we have declared the variable with yes. Now after this, we will go to app.component.html file. Here in this file, you can see we have one heading that shows Angular Directives demo by Tech Sharmit. So after this, what I'll do, I'll put here h2 for another heading. In this heading, I'll just put the topic name, which is if else if and else directive in Angular. Okay, so if else if and else directive in Angular. Now after this heading, we will implement the first logic, where we will check if condition, and in this if condition we will make sure that if the value if is logged in equal yes, so in that case you need to put one message, and that message should be paragraph, where we will show you are logged in, you are logged in. Okay, so let's make it simple. So we will just simply show this message, you are logged in. Although in actual application you will write further logic as well, right, to maybe validate anything or to implement any further logic. But here we are just simply showing one message, you are logged in which case when the value is yes. So let's verify that if we are getting this output or not. So I will write here ngserver -- open and enter. It will take few seconds and then it will open the application. So now you can see we are getting this output which shows if and else directive in Angular, you are logged in. Now my question is, let's say instead of yes, if we set the value as no, so in that case what will happen? So let's say if we change it to no, so in that case if you run the application again, you will find that there is no message. Why? Because we have not implemented this logic yet. So to implement this logic, what you need to do, you need to write here else. In this else case, we will print the message which shows you are not logged in. But there is one problem. Let me show you. Currently it is showing no and it is showing the message you are not logged in. But let's say instead of no, if user put any other value apart from yes or no, let's say here if I put ABC, still it will show you that you are not logged in, but this is not the right condition, right? Because here it should show the message that this is a invalid input, correct? So we need to write a logic in a way where if the value is true, that means if the value is yes, or if the value is positive, so in that case we will show the message you are logged in. But in case if user is not logged in, the condition is false, the condition is negative, so in that case we will show this message you are not logged in. But there is third scenario as well. In third scenario, if the value is neither true nor false, so in that case we have to show one message, that is it is a invalid output. Clear? So to implement such logic we need else if condition. So here you need to write else if, and then in not else, it should be else if. Then here we need to put condition also, because we are going to check one additional condition. So we will check is logged in equal no, and inside this parenthesis we will put the condition and it should be with triple equals, okay, no, and then we will put a message in the curly braces where we will write you are not logged in. So actually this message will be populated here, you are not logged in, okay, because if the value is no, then only it should come, right? And why we are getting this error? Oh, we by mistakenly we removed the else part. So let me rewrite it again. Okay, yeah, so here we will put if the value is not yes, not no, so in that case we will put one message invalid input, please try again. So this should be the output. Perfect. Now if you check the output, it is coming as invalid input, please try again. But if you change the value to yes and save it, then in that case it will show you are logged in. In case of no, it will show you are not logged in, and in case of anything, any value, let's say blank also, so it will show invalid input. In case of a small yes also, because this is case sensitive, and remember this thing, this is very important part. Everything written over here is the case sensitive. That means if instead of small I, if you use capital I, it will show you this error, unrecognized block of if, okay. In case of variable also, if you are using small I, that will also considered as a error, and it will show is logged in does not exist on type. Clear? And same goes with a variable value also. If you use a small yes, in this case it will run. Why? Because we have also marked ts value with small yes. So make it very sure that whatever value you are using here, it should be matched with the same case, otherwise it won't work. Like right now if I use small y, it is showing invalid value. Why? Because in variable we have set the value as capital value of yes with capital Y. Clear? So I hope this entire session is clear to all of you, and you know the concept of if, else, if and else. In the next session we will discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.